Jensen is on her way. I don't know. I expect her any time now, but since it's a work session, are you guys okay if we go ahead and start, or do you want, what's your wish?
I'd start.
All right, then we'll call the work session to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Tickman,
Here.
Commissioner Karen,
Here.
Commissioner Anderson,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Briggs.
Here.
All righty. And there's an agenda prepared for anyone attending the meeting. Agendas are available there at the front. Is there anything you care to have added?
I guess if you just have a verbal update on the fiscal year 25 audit. I know you've taken, I know Tom's the interim manager of transfer station, but where we're at on filling the transfer station.
Okay.
And then there was discussion at the last board meeting about possibly changing the time. Is that still under consideration, or has that been taken off the table? So we talked about having a discussion.
No, everything's up for discussion. So item 7 would be, what was the first one?
Well, just update on fiscal year 25 audit.
Audit.
The next one is transfer station manager position, and then time of board meetings. And probably we should add 50 fiscal year 26 audit RFP, but we really can't do that until the audit's done, right? I mean, but are we ready to do an RFP when?
I have
then
our
we-
finance manager and deputy working on creating an RFP.
Should we just put audit update /
Yeah.
RFP?
Sure, that sounds good. It'd be one item.
All right. So anything more for the agenda? How do you want to handle it, Madam Clerk? We don't vote really on anything, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll let the agenda stand with those 3 additions. If you're keeping notes, and item 7 would be the audit update and RFP. And item 8 would be the transfer station manager opening. And item 9 would be discussion of the the monthly Board of Commissioner meeting schedules. With that, we'll ask for if there's any public comments. And this is relegated to agenda items with any public comments. Is anyone online?
Commissioner Jansen is online.
Oh, she's attending online. Okay. Good morning, Commissioner Jensen. I guess there's no public comments, so we'll move on to item 1, which is Easton Lightala's contract. What do you have for us there, Chelsea?
So we've been contracting with Houston since December of 25. And he was brought in when we were having some short staffing in administration when our finance manager was out. And then he stayed with us throughout our new finance manager and deputy getting hired on. So the intent was to end contract with him once we had those 2 positions filled. They have been, the assistant or the deputy and finance manager have been here for about a month, little over a month now. And I asked that we retain Easton till the end of June, and then we separate with him on June 30th. The reason for that is because he was doing the deep dive in ARPA, and he has the continuity of everything ARPA, and it's just a short-term kind of look back period that would take some time to fill in the current staff for something that we would not need to address going forward. And additionally, he's working on opioid funding, and he'll give an update on that for the July meeting. he was gonna give an update for this meeting, but he's meeting with Judge Davatella later this week, so he wanted to have that meeting before a formal update was given to the board. So I would ask for the board's consideration to add one more month to his contract. There does not necessarily need to be a board action because his pay is less than $5,000. But I wanted to run this by the board.
Okay, could you remind us what they find, what the compensation is?
$1,000 per working week. And he has to work a minimum of 15 hours per week. And he kind of splits his time, so usually it's 2 checks a month.
$4,000 a month or two to 3,000, when it depends how much work he
Depends
does.
on how much work he
Yeah.
does, so a maximum
it's not
of
guaranteed.
4,000, but
Usually they're like when people pop up, they, oh, here it is. Uh-huh. I mean,
And then just on the opioid, the deal, obviously getting that, how much we have, we only had one expenditure authorized, is that correct? And that was for the drug court at one point in time?
currently don't see any expenditures
Okay,
for opioid.
and that may be the case too. I only recall, I thought we had one that we might have given to the drug court, but I could be wrong. But we should know that, obviously.
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that, obviously, but, and only got a month to go. As long as you finish up the ARPA and the opioid fund, I think that's what we have to do anyway.
Okay, do you want us to advance to the regular agenda?
I would suggest.
Any other questions or comments for Chelsea? All right, we're all right to move on. Add that to next week's agenda. And item 2 is we're happy to have Gail Plow here. And you have under F4, you have information here regarding the creating a board. Gail, would you care to lead us on that, sir?
Yes, yeah, thanks for having me. For those of you who don't know, is it all right if I sit? Are you okay with me sitting? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I am the project director of the SAMHSA grant Connections Not Cuffs, which is a treatment court expansion grant. As part of that, I was invited to attend the UP or the opioid task force gathering in Escanaba, May 1st. I went with Laura and I went with Kyle. And it was such a worthwhile day of learning what Delta County has done with their opioid settlement funding. And the whole focus of the meeting was helping every county in Michigan set up a process for spending that funds, which is transparent, which is, follows the guidelines that are in the state. And so, Fulton County still has, I think, 15 more years left on the settlement. There was 18 years when it was awarded, and still 15 years remaining. And in 2021, they created what they call Bloomberg Hopkins Principles. That was developed by 30 advocacy organizations across the country to determine some guidance for spending opioid settlement money. And those include, number 1 was spending the money to save lives. They're doing remediation for all of the fallout from the opioid crisis, to kind of remediate some of that damage. So number 1 is spending the money to save lives. Number 2 is using evidence to guide spending. Number 3 is investing in youth prevention, which is sorely needed in our area. 4 is focus on racial equity. And then 5 is to develop a fair and transparent process to decide where to spend funding. So as part of that, the whole day was facilitated by Delta County's opioid task force. And they basically shared their successes, their challenges, kind of what they did, how they set up an opioid task force. The Michigan Association of Counties was there. I think it was Amy Dolinky. I think she was a technical advisor, and there's another man, I think his name's Daniel Kelly. I know Chelsea has met with Amy a couple of times about the settlement funding. And what Amy is, she's available to work with any county in Michigan to set up or I keep saying UP, I'm confusing opioid with UP, opioid task force. And basically what that would do is you would create a task force, a group of people. I think in Delta County, they have 9 people, and they represent law enforcement, they represent substance use disorder treatment professionals, medical professionals, human services agencies, jail personnel. And so that task force would be created to issue, they would oversee the settlement funding and develop a process allowing communities, community members, community partners to apply for the funding. They basically would develop a grant process. So in Delta County, what they did is they created their opioid task force. They have 9 members representing a huge, kind of swath of the community. And then those folks meet, they determine, they created a mission statement, bylaws, and they created they determined what their funding cycle would be. Would they give out money yearly? Would it be twice yearly? And what Delta did was they have kind of big chunks of money. They would allow people to apply for a grant for $30,000 and mini grants. So they covered, they made the grant process much more simple for that. And what they would do is they put it out to the community. What do you see? What do you see the needs are here? And Laura was there, and they had one of the success stories they shared was really interesting because they funded vape detectors in the Escanaba schools. And so you would think, okay, what's that have to do with opioids? It's definitely prevention. I mean, if you stop kids from using anything early on, any kind of mood altering substance, you're better off. So their principal from their school kind of shared his success story. It was a $30,000 project, which really cut down on kids using vapes in school. So, there's all kinds of things you can do, but it's a matter of forming the task force, putting it together. And it sounds, at first blush, you look at this and you think, oh gosh, that's a big bunch of work, bylaws and mission statements and templates for writing grants and reviewing grants. And the county commissioners have to approve of each step of this process. The beautiful thing is that it's already done. It's already done. The Michigan Association of Counties literally has a toolkit. They have a toolkit that you can customize for your county. You can kind of pick and choose what you want. So the hard part has been done. You don't have to invent the wheel. You don't have to, the grunt work of it has been done, and you would just you would make the decision that you wanted the UP opioid task force to do that. And that you would issue an RFP process for your community.
Question?
Sure.
Then, if this task force was created here for Houghton County, would they then advise or offer recommendations to the board when those decisions needed to be made, or?
Yes, yep. So the task force, their whole job would be to do community outreach to let them know, hey, there's this opioid settlement funding. You determine how much you wanted that to be. You determine what cycle you'd want to do. Maybe it's once a year we do this. And then they would review those applications. They would review those applications, bring it to the board and say, here's what we're going to score these. Basically, most grants, when you're reviewing a grant, you're giving it a score. And so it's there's a rubric there. It's very, very objective. It's very objective. Did you meet this criteria? Are you falling short over here? So you come up with a score. So somebody who complains, why didn't we get funded? Why didn't we get funded for our alcohol-free graduation party? And they got funded for, I don't know, a parenting class of something or an education program in jail. You can clearly say your score was a 91, theirs was a 97.
And so there's a template, so to speak, whether through Delta County or wherever,
Mhm.
for slots to be created and filled.
The Michigan Association of Counties, Amy Dolinky is,
Okay.
yeah,
Amy would guide on
and
that.
Daniel County, yeah, they would be available to us. Oh, yeah, Delta counties, yeah, they said they would
Get into
actually,
the thick of it.
yeah. They would,
That's good.
yeah, they would show up in person to help. set that up.
Yeah, I think it was just a couple weeks ago, we got an email from the Attorney General saying, you know, how legally things, did they go through that in any detail at that meeting of
Well, there's, yeah, they make it pretty clear. They-
Pretty long list of things that can and can't be done.
Right, Exhibit E it's called, and so it's attached to the whole opioid settlement application. And so it literally spells out everything you can do. You can do this, but you can't do that. You could support youth prevention, but you cannot support, just a park, like a park for, kids to hang out. If it's so vague and nebulous, it has to have some sort of connection to it, so.
So my thought was we wait till the July meeting to see where we're at financially. And in the meantime, if Gail and maybe Chelsea can work up a list of positions or represent what committee, who should be on the committee.
Right, right.
9 seems kind of big.
Well, nine is what Delta did.
Yeah, I mean,
Delta
this seems to be
Delta did that.
a lot, but
Yeah, I think it's really important to have diverse representation, so it shouldn't be all people who just work in substance use disorder treatment. It should be maybe schools. What do they see in, somebody from the schools? I don't know. You could, it's,
but would you be willing to at least try to put together what your recommendation would be, or,
oh,
I mean, for
absolutely.
committee?
Yeah,
I think we need to do it. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of,
yeah, I was very
Fine.
excited about it because it gives, it literally, I mean, to me, when I left that meeting, I was really fired up because I thought this is so awesome because it gives, this is a pot of money that's sitting there and it gives guidance, it gives clear direction, but it also lets the community take the initiative to say, hey, here's where we see this thing. Here's where we see this could, go into prevention. Like I said, a jail education program, the folks over in our jail see that revolving doors or anything we could do with some of this money to prevent the same people from coming in the same doors over and over again. So I'd be happy to.
just my idea.
What should we do next? Do we put this on the agenda for action to authorize creation of this board? Is that,
I think that would be appropriate. I think saying that the board was in support of forming a UP opioid task force. My goodness.
and this would be for Holton County, correct?
Yeah, yeah, it would be for Holton County. I need a swear jar for saying that. Every time I say UP instead of opioids, someone should charge me money.
The,
Yeah.
okay. Any comments, questions, thoughts?
I just thought maybe wait till after the July meeting, once we know how much we have currently and how much we're,
So,
I mean, just, but in that scale, in the meantime, between now and then, to try to put together her recommendation of who could be on the task force. So either July or August, we'd be ready to go.
with that,
Yeah.
If you want it on the agenda to support that, that's fine.
Right. I think if you did it almost kind of as a preliminary step to go out publicly and say, we're going to form this, because that may generate some interest in the community. There may be a doctor, there may be someone in the ER who's like, I'd like to be on that, It may make it easier for us.
so at least get it out there in the public that this
Yeah, that
is
we're
being
forming it.
worked on.
Mhm. That the county board supports this, we're in the process. Be done.
Good to me.
All right, unless there's, I guess, we're leaning towards, putting this, acknowledgement of the effort being started. Put it on next week's agenda.
And Chelsea, only just as a timing issue, you mentioned that Easton's report wouldn't be done till the July meeting, even though he's leaving the end of June. Is that accurate? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I mean.
He was gonna give the update today, but
Right.
he's waiting for the judges meeting later
Right.
this week. So he will do
Yep.
the July meeting on his own time. He's aware that his contract will be ended by then.
Right.
Very good. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll move on then to number 3. There's a resolution passed by UPCAP supporting the Michigan House Bill 5249. And thank you, Clerk Kelly, for alerting us to this. And you have a copy of the resolution that was passed by the UPCAP board that involved you, correct? Commissioner Johnson?
Yep, we voted on this.
Care to expand on it a little bit?
Sure, it basically is just kind of expanding the service that the emergency medical the EMS person would be able to provide, basically. There's a whereas in here where it just gives greater flexibility to utilize the full scope of training available personnel. I don't remember the specifics, but it was kind of this odd thing where until this would get passed, this bill, there was like a limit to what an EMS person could provide to the, person requiring care. Anyway, so this just expands that.
Mhm. This deals, I think, primarily with situations where they're responding to an accident or a medical transport and involves an ambulance, and for them to be able to administer all the care that's necessary.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are a lot of restrictions.
Yeah, I say put it on there.
Move it to the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah.
Very good. And then we'll move on to item number 4, North Care Network Communication.
For the packets, the tabs are misnumbered because we deleted agenda number 1. So F4 is actually F3 and F5 is F4.
I see.
Yeah, the next one, I think it's very interesting. I don't think the county needs to take a position one way or the other. As you know, Senator McBroom is permanent at the end of the year, and he always for a decade been trying to figure out ways in his mind to improve mental health service at the UP.
Mhm.
Without success. And the latest one is, of course, would be to consolidate the UP mental health groups and then require them to operate a psychiatric hospital, which is sorely needed. But then the letter says all of the pitfalls that, and there's talk, there's community groups that are trying to get the state to fund a psychiatric hospital, even at the old hospital or the old prison in Marinesco. But this one would require the community mental health associations and the UP to do it. And then I think the letter is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, they can't even get psychiatrists, working. But on the other hand, it's a need. So I applaud him for at least looking at the options, but I don't think we should take a position either for or against. I think just let it have, let the process go through. And I think people have said that, the odds of that bill going through is 0 in spite of his efforts.
Mhm.
But if there's a way that they get psychiatric beds in the UP, then, we only have a few at Market General.
That's right.
It's absolutely desperately needed, but I think the letter explains all of the reasons why there may not be.
For some reason, the shrinks don't want to move to the UP.
Well, and then the funding, that goes
I
with
think there's plenty of work here.
it.
Maybe that's why.
Well, so pass on this one, which.
I don't think we need to take a position. I think that's very informative. I don't think we want to be voting against psychiatric beds and voting against this legislation, but then
Definitely not.
our own community mental health is saying it's not the way to go and not the right action to take.
Well, we want to be
at this time.
supportive of our local mental health boards.
So I think we'd better just let it go.
Any thoughts?
That was discussed this past week at the mental health board meeting, monthly meeting. And of course, Mike signed this, obviously.
Yeah,
And he basically told us the same thing as the letter says, that the unique atmosphere the UP has with the mental health issues and the cost of getting doctors up here is just almost prohibitive. I remember when when Ben was still here, he was talking with Lansing about at the jail, putting up something up there. And back then, Mike was saying, you'll never get a doctor up here. It's prohibitive for us to do anything with it. On the other side, as a retired law enforcement, the transports are ridiculous for us, on the county, what it costs. Fortunately, we're getting some reimbursement from the mental health, but I based on what the meeting last week and my history and knowledge, and I support what Glenn said. I think we should stay out of it and let it work itself out.
I think my take would be that better off if Senator Broom try to get a bill where the state would fund and operate psychiatric hospital.
exactly. Yeah,
That would be fantastic. To force our community mental health groups to do it without sufficient money in capital, I don't think that makes sense. But as far as if he were to figure out a way to get at a veterans home, it can be done.
can be done. But like you said, otherwise it falls into that giant pot of unfunded mandates. Good effort though, but all right, should we move on then? All right. Item 5 is Karen Karanen is requested a retirement buyout. You want to lead us on that?
She requested 3 years of additional retirement time. That would be a cost that would be paid by her directly. She intends to retire at the end of this calendar year. And I would assume doing an early buyout would increase the county's pension liability. We did talk to MERS about this, and they said that the board needs an official resolution to approve her retirement buyout request.
We got to ask for an actuarial. Has that been done?
And they can't provide one until they're 6 months before retirement, so we're a little bit too early for that.
I assume that the county has done the buyout, has approved actuarial buyouts before.
I would assume so.
I mean, I
There
don't
hasn't
know.
been any in my time, but I would assume there's been requests in the past.
I mean, I think we should at least get the actuarial, it could be 6 months before, and then obviously she would pay 100% of that cost. And true, it is based on their actuarial assumptions that will be the extra cost to the county indefinitely, but there's no guarantee that would absolutely be the amount.
Right.
But that's all, just like anything else, that's the best they have. And in theory, it would be the amount that would be the extra cost for the 3 years to the county. That's how that's why it's set on that. But I have no trouble getting the price, although that's what, $300-400, or how much is the actuarial price?
Are you
It
aware?
used to be 300, but
Actually, the person that I work with in MERS is out until today, so
yeah,
I guess.
and there's a fee to that. I mean, I get some relatively modest fee, but to get it. But I think we should at least look at it and then make a decision. We can't, I guess, making a decision, no, until you see the cost. And I know we've done it before.
So do we move this to the agenda next week?
No, not until 6 months before.
But I mean, as far as the action to when 6 months arrives.
So I think we should at least take an action to say, yes, we either do it or we won't ask for it.
Mhm.
And then maybe you could when you talk to MERS, ask how many actuarial buyouts we've done in the last 20 years. Just
By next week, you should have
So
that.
we have a
feedback,
precedent.
I would think.
And maybe we haven't. If we haven't, we haven't. I just assume that we've done that. It's fairly routine, but I don't know.
So, we'll move that to the agenda for next week. Item 6, treasurer Lisa Matala.
Yeah, this is okay if I sit here.
Certainly.
So Karen and I, Karen from my office and I have met numerous times since November, with Chelsea, Joe Manigan, our consultant, Easton, Lila, the personnel committee, and many members of the 5th floor staff. And, the ECHs or the electronic fund transfers for bills, everything's coming out of the bank, but it was not coming out of our general ledger. And so we had a huge mess. We still have a huge mess today. So I'm just kind of putting it out there because as treasurer, it's statutory duties in my office to get it resolved. And it's half-assed, may I say right now, screwed up. I'm very disappointed in the lack of progress. Paige has helped, tried to help. Kyle kind of has tried to help as well. They're new, they don't know. I was out with a broken leg and I even came in for meetings. We still have not gotten anywhere. It's just very frustrating. Being here 38 years and seeing how screwed up stuff is, it's just very hardening, sad to see. There were 68 entries that were posted Friday. Out of these 68 entries, 55 are wrong. The wrong date was used on them. Karen is besides herself. She's carrying this stuff forward. We're like 8 months behind in reconciling. We're supposed to have it reconciled in 30 days. It's not gonna look good on the audit for the future. I know Chelsea's pulled in many directions. Joe Manigan, our consultant, they don't have enough time to dedicate. We have people in the positions. It's just kind of screwed up. I've reached out to BSNA and for $4,275, they will come up here for 3 days. So I am given authorization for it to be paid out of our DTR funds, which is the delinquent tax revolving fund. And I think we need to get them up here, show the new staff how to do it from A to Z. They may have notes and things that from other people that, okay, we do it this way, we do it this way. Well, that doesn't mean it was the correct way. There's still some issues. So we have to get the corrections and it's requiring a lot, unfortunately. Joe has been, he's a super nice guy, really nice. But he doesn't have the time for us and he sees things like, oh, I thought they were getting it. Well, no, they're not. It's goofed up. He did, BSNA suggested coming, oh, we can handle this in 1 day for like $1,400. They'll do it, come in via Zoom. I'm like, no, I want somebody here in person. And we're gonna cover everything from general ledger to accounts payable to payroll, if there's questions for payroll. There's just been such a vast changeover of our people, the knowledge and everything walked out the door. And maybe, like I said, maybe the notes, but they're not complete notes. So I will be probably getting with Chelsea to see when this BSNA guy can come up here and teach them. And I'd like everybody to be a part of it. The more that know how to use it, the better. That includes staff members from my one office. We have like 28 checking accounts that we balance. We can do a majority of them in the system, but our largest one, which is the county general, there's like 523 checks going out of there a month, about 50 electronic payments, and then maybe 210 deposits going in there. That is a little more complicated, and Karen is still doing it the old fashioned way. There's just some hiccups with our system, and we involve the health department and the medical care as part of it. So it doesn't work quite exactly right in our BSNA system, but I'm hoping maybe this guy will say, hey, there's a new way of doing it. And we can get that one taken care of. So I'm just letting you know, we have an issue and I'm sure it's gonna be harm our audit big time, for this coming year. So I'm just, I don't know.
Thank you for taking the bull
Yeah.
by the horn and getting the BSNA
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah, well, it's
I
just,
think
it's
that-
frustrating, I guess, and just to see different errors and that, and no, nothing against, everybody's new, or they don't know, or whatever, so.
How,
Yes.
how would you stage this training, Lisa? Would it be like perhaps up here or?
I would say up here and use this monitor here, it's nice and big, and then the gentleman or whoever is, and just go over everything.
Okay.
But they did send me 2 quotes, so I have it all itemized too. They'll fly up, they'll rent a car, there'll be a motel. So I thought for 3 days, at 200, it is well worth it to have them here in
Yeah.
person. And write down questions, so like Chelsea's staff member, if there's questions, write them down so that as, because when they're here, it might not come to you, so if you can write the questions before, like, how do I do this, how do I do that? He thought he could cover everything in one day, and I was like, no, let's just, I'd rather pay that 4,200, get them up here and train them on whatever, whether it's.
So it'd be literally be a 3-day training session.
Right. Even if it only took 2.5 days, we would pay for the 3 days.
Right.
But, you know, there's not a discount or anything. I don't think it's well worth it because right now we're drowning.
So out of the 55 day, the ACH entries that were the wrong dates, the dates have to correspond to the date they were paid. Is that the issue?
Correct.
I mean, you
Correct
could,
month.
if it wasn't the right month, I could say that all of them were paid today, but because they were paid 2 months ago, it had to get to the 2 months ago.
Right,
I mean, that's
exactly.
for accounting
Yeah,
purposes.
so I was working on month end Friday
Right.
night and I was like, oh my gosh, why am I off? I start with
Right.
911 account. I'm like, why am I off so much? Well, then I could see all these things that were posted in the month of May, but they were for like January, February, March.
Right.
So the attempt is there. There was stuff put in October through, I think it was October through May. The 15 that were correct, or the 13 that were correct, were in the month of May. So it has to reflect when it came out of the bank. Yes.
And then how many, and maybe Chelsea, or you both, you know, totally, since how many entries do we need? I mean, is it a 200, 300, several hundred, 100?
There was about 40 to 50 a month. Paige was doing good, pitching in, she got March and April. There was only like 2 put in for February. It's kind of hit and miss. So right now, we're not sure where we're at, because it's,
But 100, at least scores of them anyway.
yes,
I mean, as far as entries,
yeah, definitely.
even though they're paid.
Yeah, they're paid. We just don't actually check the checkbook or the check.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, I understand that.
So from your department, you can direct us and fund this event. Okay,
Definitely,
so this does not include, this does not require any action by the
No.
board.
No.
Do you know, would there be perhaps any kind of a lesson plan prepared in advance?
Definitely, yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna probably work on some items and like I've already reached out to him and told him what modules we wanna cover.
Good.
And so then he would put together an itinerary or an agenda on that.
And if you guys just wound up using 2 days and he's still here for a third, or if they're still here for a third, I would love to ask them technical questions about the back end of stuff. We'll use the time, don't worry.
That's-
Right,
that's-
that's what I.
That's a good thing. Yeah, we want to include our IT department with, as needed.
Which actually this morning we ran into an issue. I had staff members entering receipts in for the new month. Sarah downstairs in the building was putting receipts in and it was saying we weren't linked to one of the programs. But the updates aren't being done on a timely. Every month, actually 15 days, BSNA has all the programs have an update. It's on the first and then the 15th of the month. And so there was some updates missed with the general ledger for May and June. And as soon as we ran those and then kind of reboot the system, our systems, we were able to get back in. So that needs to be discussed too. Who's in charge of updating the updates with accounts payable, with payroll, with general ledger? I think like it just needs to, like a process and procedure needs to be in place, especially now that there's people up here to fill the positions. We have to come up with a procedure that, okay, you're gonna do this, on the 1st and the 15th of the month, and then this is what you're gonna do. So, yeah, so we got that cleared up this morning.
Followed up with everyone but you.
Okay, perfect.
So they would actually, did you say they would have 3 people up here?
Just one.
Oh, one person from BSNA, but then
Three
you could be linked.
Yeah.
And where are they coming from, Lisa, do you know?
Bath, Michigan. Bath, Michigan. Downstate.
Okay,
So my office probably works with like many programs. There's many programs, but we work with at least 9.
Yeah.
They're all linked together, talking wherever, so a vast array. So yeah, if one's not being updated or talking, it's gonna let us know that we have issues, which is good.
it's, and really our clear objective, working with the treasurer's department and the administrative staff, is to once and for all get our cash balances straightened up.
Exactly, yes.
Oh, boy,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yes.
All right,
Hopefully we all learn. I mean, I told my staff, we're all going,
is, what can the board do to be supportive of this effort? Stay out of the way.
I mean, the employees have to be in attendance.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes,
but
so
nothing-
scheduling,
Yeah.
that's why I was hopeful that there would be a lesson plan with specific topics prepared in advance, so you could kind of help make sure that the right people are attending those modules.
The gentleman is out Monday and Tuesday. He'll be back tomorrow. So Friday, he worked up this proposal really quick for me. And then I was like, okay. And then he's like, I'm gonna come up there and see what you got out of whack. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we got such a mess. I don't know. It's gonna take a little bit. So yeah, I'll get, as soon as he gets back, name's Michael, I will get with him tomorrow, Wednesday,
And again, when are you hoping to have this?
as soon as possible.
Okay,
Yeah,
like
as soon as possible.
in the coming days, weeks here.
But whatever's open for their schedule, obviously, for them to get up here, so.
Good.
But even on the ACH, when a bill is paid, there still is a chart of account assigned to that payment, is there not, when it's paid?
Yes,
So it's just not being entered.
correct.
I mean, so
So right now.
they're
some of
missing
the
one
budgets-
step.
Yeah,
I
some
mean,
of
on
the
each
budgets are out
transaction.
of whack.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are out of whack. Like I said, Kyle, Paige and Laura have all been having their hands in there trying to get caught up, trying to do whatever. But yeah, things have been out of whack since October when the work was brought upstairs to the former employee. So I know Joe Manigan had helped us with like October to January. Not sure where we're at, so we still have to touch base with him on a few things, but I did run this by him and he goes, yeah, good idea, get somebody up here to show everyone how to use the system. And maybe there's other things in the system that we're not aware of or something, so to have them here.
I was gonna ask because, it's been pointed out in the past that there's much more. We're basically working with the tip of the iceberg, I guess, as far as the functions that program has.
It's a wonderful system if it's used to the full capacity, definitely. And even to see Joe Manigan show myself and my staff member who've been here, he was showing us stuff. We're like, oh, wow, we didn't know it could do that, so you never too old to learn it, and we're all gonna learn something, so it should help us going forward.
That's something we should look at annually. I mean, a lot of these departments use BSNA and that, the Zoom is one thing, but to have someone here to physically be in this office and to help, whether it's fifth floor, treasurer's office, or, Jacob, whoever uses all this stuff, it seems like it would be money well spent to get people more efficient and
You could be right, Joel, and we'll probably, chances are we'll be in a better position to know just what we need as a next step.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't treat this as a magic bullet that's gonna solve all of our issues, but
I like the fact that they're coming here and, boots on the ground and that's
I think they would prefer to do it Zoom.
well, I'm glad that you got them.
No. And they do hold classes, and Chelsea, we've been on, they do have classes out there that you can sign up for and that, but I was like, no, we got too many people, you need to be in-house. You need to see our stuff, you need to see what's all moved and what's the game plan to fix it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I said, we were working with Joe and he just doesn't have the time for us. He's pulled on the
Yeah.
MIDC stuff, he's pulled on audit. He's been wonderful helping Chelsea in that, but unfortunately, we always took the back burner and it's like, no.
no, we can't
We
do
can't
that
be
anymore.
doing that, so hopefully forward. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And we'll work with that schedule, just make sure we got the right people attending the right sessions. Great, thanks for leading the charge on that. Very good, well then we'll move on to new item 7, an update on our audit progress.
I sent an update for a request for an update last Wednesday to our auditor, Ken. I still have yet to receive a response as of this morning, so he hasn't reached out to us in close to a month, I would say. I do know that Ken is working very closely with Joe, our consultant, and Joe did send an update on Friday afternoon, I believe it was. The auditors originally sent over a preliminary analysis, and Joe sent back some additional feedback. As for an estimate on when the audit will be filed, I don't know. I have had troubles touching base with Ken. He hasn't been very responsive with phone calls or emails.
But
I don't-
presumably
Do
there,
you have anything to say?
presumably there's nothing significant holding it up now. It's just a matter of his time.
Not that I'm aware of. I
'Cause this
believe.
wouldn't, ACH wouldn't affect that fiscal year at all.
No. I believe we answered all of the questions from that original spreadsheet. Lisa, Joe and I met quite a few times to go over their questions, and that's been received on the audit side. So I'm not sure what they're looking for from us, and I've reached out a couple of times just asking, is there anything else you need from us? And they don't really respond.
Then where are we at on then you said the RFP, you at least got that ready to go if and when we get the audit.
I met with our finance manager a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, and I let him know that we do not have an audit contract for the upcoming fiscal year. And I asked that he prepares a RFP, and we're gonna put that on the board agenda once this audit is finalized.
And that includes the health department and what else?
So it'll be our single audit as well as the F-65. So that
Right,
includes
but
health
actually-
department, some of Canal View, and then a portion of the road commission.
The road commission has a separate contract for audit,
Yes,
as does Canal View,
yes.
but they still are. have
And the
some
health department, we've audited separately, but they're all
included, yeah.
intermingled into our audit.
But if we switch auditors, the health department would have to switch auditors too.
I don't believe so. I think they
Okay.
all have
All right,
their own.
because they use Anderson Tackman and they seem to get a product done pretty quick. Different office. Yeah. All right, thank you. I'm good.
Anything further on that? Item 8 is a transfer station manager opening. We did conduct 3 interviews, but at this time we've kept the position open and it is posted.
Been reposted for 2 weeks this week.
Okay, and then Tom is capable of, Bingham is capable of interim manager among his other duties.
Yeah, that's where it is with some concern there because we have him tasked with, all his other duties. But his familiarity with the facility dates back to, he was employed there for some 6 years. So, so it's well covered in the interim. But if you hear of anyone that, any possible candidates for that position, or encourage them to apply. Do we have any new applications yet?
I sent an update on Friday. There was 3 new applicants. I'm not sure if any came in over the weekend. I wasn't able to check before this meeting.
Okay.
How many hours is Tom spending there or working on projects? Any idea? I'm just curious.
I don't know the answer to that, Joe.
When I, maybe you guys too, when I went and talked to Kurt, just thanking him for his service, he said he thought, that things could run pretty smoothly up there with minimal, until somebody is hired. That was his observation. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I took his word that he thought things could run pretty smoothly without him for a period of time.
It is a good arrangement in the short term because with Tom's mechanical background, he's taken a close look at our fleet up there as well. Make sure that those, and did he move one truck over to have it evaluated?
Yes, I will have Tom give an update on that, but from what I understood, it seems like we should not proceed with replacing that vehicle because the motor is essentially ticking time bomb when it's gonna blow up. And it's about $30,000 to fix it, and even once it's fixed, it's still a very old piece of equipment that's not safe.
Yeah, so we probably are looking at a truck replacement before too long.
And then the other question, it's not related to Kurt or Tom, but with the rate increase that we approved last year, are we cash flowing on a monthly basis now or not?
Not aware, I haven't looked
I'm
into.
just curious if that was sufficient enough or not.
To kind of piggyback on this topic, has Brendan Presnell asked to be on the agenda for our meeting next week from Webster?
I can check, I'm not certain.
I did email him and told,
Oh, you did?
yeah,
Okay.
that was Friday or Saturday, somebody saw it.
He is going to make a proposal that the Eagle money that is sent to the county for this MMP, Materials Management Plan, 80% goes to Wupperter for the planning, 20% comes back to the county to use really kind of in any way that we want for this purpose. And Brendan is going to suggest that we use some of those funds for a feasibility study for the transfer station and sort of look at our capital plan, I guess, for that. So that's what he wants to talk about on Tuesday. Next week.
So is that going to be on the agenda then?
It should be.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
He doesn't vote.
I'll maybe
all right.
double check.
Then you don't know because he contacted you yet?
Brendan Presnell,
Don't believe it.
Presnell. Pardon?
Well, I'm just making sure that he's following up to get it on the agenda.
I did email him, so I haven't heard back from him yet, but I emailed on Friday or Saturday, so I'll make sure.
You'll.
I just told him to, because I want him to have the correct wording, what he wants, and for him to be here, so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joel. Item 9 is meeting schedules for the Board of Commissioners. We're currently meeting at 6 p.m. on the second Tuesday. Is there interest in, I think we have mixed opinions on that as far as whether or not that's a good time or not.
Well, remind me, what have we done now? We did 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock
We
was
did one other one too, didn't we?
We did 4.
4.
3, and we also did, prior to that, it was, we were at 5 p.m. We moved to 4 p.m. Then we moved to 3 p.m.
Yeah. Okay.
And it seemed to work pretty well. Our attendance, in my opinion, was pretty good, but we did have that request to move it to 6 p.m. I don't know, with the exception of, something controversial or attendance has not really changed that much from when it was in an afternoon meeting.
Yeah, and of course, controversy, they'll find us whatever time of the day it is. I mean, but it's still, there is still people working during the day that we gotta understand, but that in the past, even when we had it at 3, people found us if there was something that they were interested in, but.
I would agree. I wouldn't say it's your opinion, Tom. It's fact that we had more people at 3 o'clock than 6 o'clock, 99% of the time. I just feel like 3 o'clock, we had more county employees here to be here. And I just feel like we tried, Gretchen, it wasn't about us, but I feel like we've been at 6 o'clock for 8 months.
October.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been long enough and I feel like attendance got worse.
Well, one thing, and I know that there are, for people who feel, it's easier for attendance at 6 p.m. You're never going to make everyone happy, but during the past year or month, I think we've made great gains in having it even more accessible online. And also, how quickly do the meetings get posted now that we're recording them, Alex?
Usually within the week.
Okay.
But then the other issue now is now that we're in circuit court, if there's a jury trial or a trial, we can't do 3 anymore either then if there's, the courthouse closes at 4:30 cases if there's a active case going. I don't know. That was only,
So
there's a factor now that we have to be under their schedule as well, of course,
and
to some extent.
that's true. We'd have to be aware of that. However, once again, how often?
Yeah, true.
How often would we have not been able to fit up here?
Right.
With
that's
the number of attendants.
And then how often is a jury trial going?
Yeah,
past
the
3 or
jury
4
trial is the second Tuesday at 3 o'clock.
But
it'd be interesting to see if.
Well, the other thing, and I realize, this is for accessibility and always trying to improve transparency with the public. But it was very good for our department heads and staff when we met earlier, especially during the winter. I don't mean to look at you overly much, Madam Clerk, but I know you put in a ridiculously long time every day, and with the requirement of the clerk being at these meetings, I think that it is. I appreciated the earlier meetings because we had better feedback, I think, from departments.
I agree. I think if we would have had a room full of people, again, not to beat the public with a wet noodle or anything for not coming and shame them, but it's like they had the opportunity, and for me, it's like, okay, if the room was full, I'd say, okay, well, department heads, it's a long day for them when they got to be here. Actually, I agree, but it's like, okay, if the room was full, I'd say, well, sorry, department heads, you got to stay because there's 100 people at every meeting and we got to keep them at 6. It's not the case. So I'd rather say, look, okay, department heads who work from 8 to 4 or you've been here all day, let's try and make your life a little bit easier and you can get home. And I don't know, I just feel
bottom line, is there support for putting this discussion on the agenda for next week?
Support that.
I have just 2 comments. All of the feedback I've gotten since we even started talking about changing the time again has been to leave it after work hours. So 5:36, something like that. And the only other thing that I guess would affect me personally is that about 2, 3, maybe even 4 times a year, I'm assigned to Michigan Works and that's really the only one that and they have meetings the same day in Marquette or Escanaba. So last time we had a meeting, I was in Escanaba earlier that day and I had to get back here by 6 o'clock, which I could because we have our meeting at 6. So for me personally, I'm gonna stick with the later time as a preference, just on those two things, but we can talk about it next week.
Yeah, no, I think it's worth discussing. And again, my take is like a day like today, 6 o'clock in the evening, people are gonna be at their camp or out at the beach or picnicking. And then in the winter, the darker, it's dark as heck, at 6 o'clock in the evening, they're more, it's a tough. It's a tough thing, but I'm not gonna leave, somewhere and go at 6 o'clock in the middle of winter either. I mean, it's a. And again, we've proven that whenever we have at that time, if there's something controversial, people are here. I mean, that's a given. So no matter when we have it, that takes care of itself. But there are people who probably can't get off of work. I respect that. But even then, 4:30 would allow somebody to get their, meeting, they can still make the public comment at the end, toward the end of the meeting too. It's just how you look at that.
Well, we'll put it on next week's agenda to have the meeting time, Board of Commissioner, meeting times. All right, well, we're done with our agenda. Move on to public comments. Public comments, any public comments?
Dave Morrison from Hancock. I want to talk about the jail. In 10 weeks is the deadline for the county board to put a millage on the ballot for November. To have a successful millage, we need to have a successful campaign to bring it to the public. And that's already a very small amount of time to do that. In order to meet the public where they are going to be in June, July, and August in the Copper Country, we would need to have materials where we could say what our millage plan will be at Bridge Fest, at Strawberry Fest, at every other fest you can think of that's between now and then. And so people having materials that say what the issue is and bringing up the questions and discussions are essential as of 2 months ago. It was an emergency 2 months ago. So now today is June 1st, and a November millage is not yet drafted, and there's no way to talk to the public about the trade-offs and the pros and cons and what we learned through an enormous amount of work since last November with 3 committees and 1 subcommittee and plenty of staff members and board members participating as well. So as a member of the public and as a person who strongly believes that it is an urgent issue to get the funding in place for a new county jail, I would just like to urge the board to have a process where we can bring the information about what's been done to the public and then have enough discussion so that you all feel comfortable with drafting and passing, hopefully unanimously, of a source of an ability process by which we can actually have a millage. And then we can start to recruit supporters of this effort to use the time this summer to get it out to the people so that they can know what's going on and then be prepared for their own vote. Absentee ballots, if it does get on the ballot in November, absentee ballots have to be ready by September 24th. So it's not like September is when this can be sold. People will receive automatic absentee ballots in their mailboxes in September, and they will fill them out and send them in, and they will be no longer reachable to have explained to them what the county is proposing. So those are my comments.
Thank you. We do have a jail committee meeting today at 4 p.m. right here, which is a public meeting. Other public comments? Any public comments?
Nothing online.
Is there, are there any announcements? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor, we can't vote.
The opposed can stay here.